Good evening, everybody. My name is Anzo. Welcome to the stream, coming to you live from the end of the world, and we're back again for more collaborative world building. This is something that we do every single week. We get together, we build out my next campaign setting, the Jewel Cities of Talavar, and we've been doing that for like, I don't know, 3 months now? It must be 3 months, and we've been doing a whole bunch of world building for this region. We're almost at 400 pins and locations on our map, and I'm pretty confident that we're gonna pass that threshold today. That's my big goal for the day, is get us over that 400 pins and locations threshold. Welcome everybody. I see we have some redeems already, which is amazing. Turtle Nerd, thank you very much for the Prime sub. If anyone isn't already following the channel, go ahead and click the follow button. If you've got a Amazon Prime account and you don't already subscribe to any channels, you can subscribe to one channel a month for free, and I would very much appreciate it if you chose me for that. Fingers, we will add your NPC once we get into the weeds on placing stuff in our map. Evening Navtal, evening Bob. Hello everybody, say hello in the chat if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and make sure that all of my gizmos and things are set up. I can immediately see that the plugin I have on my Stream Deck that's supposed to tell me how many people are in the are watching doesn't work. It's just like, yeah, there's one person here, but I can see that that is not the case. So let me double check that everything has posted and everything is all set up properly, and then we can get into it and dive into some world building. Make sure everything has gone out properly there, which it has. Evening, Turtle, evening. Right then, I think we should be safe to dive in. So I'm going to go ahead here and switch to our desktop view. So this is Legend Keeper and the map is Made with an Incarnate. And over the last couple of months, we have been adding a whole bunch of pins to this map. If I zoom out here, you'll get a sense of the sheer number of pins that we've been adding. So we're super close to 400. We're on like 390 something, I want to say. 393, I think we're up to. So we should be able to cross that 400 mark this evening. Finger says, how good is Legend Keeper when compared to World Anvil? World Anvil is a very high price for what they offer, but their interface is pre-2015 age. So they both accomplish broadly the same things. The way I always categorize it is World Anvil is great if you want prompts for absolutely everything. So if you're going into your world building and you want to be prompted and asked a whole bunch of questions, I would go with World Anvil. If you just want something that has the functionality and the atlas and being able to link things and all that, but that just stays out of your way and lets you get on with things, I'd go with Legend Keeper. Also, by the way, I have a cold, so if I sound weird, that is why. And if I randomly, collapse into a coughing fit at some point during the stream, I'm fine. There's no need to be alarmed or alert the authorities. Lego Firehawk, hello, first time I've caught the stream live, watching the older ones on YouTube, but welcome, glad to have you in the stream. Sly Cougar says, I've had World Anvil forever, I've been messing with Legend Keeper now, and I honestly like it a lot more. Yeah, Legend Keeper's my preferred one, just because it doesn't have the huge number of prompts and like text boxes and things to fill in. I like to just get a blank page or a template that I've made so that I can just hit the ground running. So what have I done this week in between streams when it comes to our world here? I don't think I've done a huge amount. I've added some new pins, I've added a couple new locations. I've mainly been doing a bunch of work on my kind of masterbook Excel spreadsheet. So I've got an Excel spreadsheet that I've been building that's got a whole bunch of kind of generators and stuff in it. It's got generators for our points of interest, generators for like evocative place names, for NPCs and dungeons and adventure Mad Libs, and I've been doing a bunch of stuff building that out with the people in my Discord server. So I have a Discord server and we've got a little forum section in there where I've been putting the contents of some of these generators. So for the points of interest generator, I put the whole list that I had up until that point of people have been suggesting more, which I've been adding. So now I have this spreadsheet that I can generate new points of interest. So I'll go ahead and jump into that and generate one as an example. So in this, we've got what the point of interest is, the region it's in, and the dominant citizen. This is to just give me some kind of direction to go with. Originally, I was just using the what is the point of interest, but after I'd done that a couple hundred times, it was starting to not spark my creativity as much. So by adding specific locations and saying, right, it's in this region, and then adding a dominant citizen, whether that's someone who lives there or someone that operates it, someone that can be found there, whatever it is, makes it easier to come up with an idea. So in this example, we've got a ruin that's in the Howling Badlands, which is our desert region that's up north. If we zoom out here so you can see, so this is the Howling Badlands, this desert region up here, and our dominant citizen is going to be some kind of elf. Now I know that we already have some elves in the Howling Badlands. We have some desert elves, so they're these red skinned elves, and they operate kind of like skiffs that float and kind of sail the sands. If you think of kind of the sailboats that Jabba's crew in Return of the Jedi operate on, those kind of speeder skiffs, they operate magical versions of them, and there are crews of them that kind of sail the Howling Badlands deserts. So I already know that there are some kind of red elves out there in the desert, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can remember where they are and then see. So there's a desert elf skiff there, so if there's going to be a ruin somewhere nearby that has a dominant population of red elves, then we probably want to put it near where we already have some elf related points of interest. Everyone always says not to start with a map, but it seems you've done the opposite. What do you think is the best reason to start with a regional map? So I am really big into world building. World building is one of the most fun aspects of the hobby for me. So I have always built worlds, even when I have had no reason to. So even for just my own stories, or for my when I played Warhammer and stuff, I would make worlds for that. So a lot of the fun I get from being a game master comes from the world building aspect of it. And then it just happens to have the side effect that it's useful to use in-game. I also find when I do a lot of my world building and my kind of prep work up front before the campaign starts, it makes it easier for me to improvise once I get going. So with our Dual Cities map, for example, we've almost got 400 pins here. I can put the players, they can start anywhere on this map, and there's going to be things that exist in the world that I've already thought about that I can use to build off. So if we just pick a spot on the map and start zooming in, so let's say the players start right here, so we've got a lighthouse and then a cult hideout. So their first adventure might be something cult related, and this lighthouse might come into play, and then I've got information on the region around where they start, and I don't have to start with a blank page, so I can improvise easier. If they say, right, we really don't want to do this lighthouse thing, let's just get on a boat and sail across, I know what the city across from them is and some of the adventures that they might find there. So it just helps me feel more confident in improvising because more of that kind of groundwork has been done. Ascender says, will you actually let them pick any city and town to start in? Pretty much. So I'll kind of give them two options. I'll say we can either take a throw a dartboard at the map approach where you literally choose somewhere random, or you can pick from kind of a broad starter quest list. So I'll make a list and there'll be sort of one broad starter quest for each region, which is something that I believe I have already started to do. If we go ahead, so I've already started to list potential things that we could use as starting adventures for each of these regions. So in the Vale, there's some kind of plot regarding the Maiden Queen, and they're hired to defend her in a summer estate. That could be one of the starting quests. Or in Eruxis, they happen to be traveling through the one road that goes through this region, and things go awry, and that would be their starting quest in that region. So it'll either be I'll ask them to choose either just go full on random and we'll let chaos decide, or do you want a list of potential kind of starting quests and see what tickles your fancy the most? Let's see. I've missed them. I've missed some chats. I know Legend Keeper has a rich text formatter, which is nice if someone messed a bit with Notion in the past. Yeah, Legend Keeper shares a lot of lifeblood with Notion. If you know how to use Notion, you know a lot of the kind of commands for Legend Keeper. I have Legend Keeper merch now, so I would say I like Legend Keeper a little more than World Anvil. I also have Legend Keeper merch. Welcome to the stream, Hast. I am pretty good, a little bit ill, got a bit of a cold, so I'm a little stuffy. So at some point you might see me duck out of the frame. Welcome, Phoenix. And Icewind Dale did that as well. I've not played Icewind Dale. I've played, I think, one of the kind of little side quests as a one-shot from Icewind Dale. Lego Firehawk says, is there a campaign or overall story arc you have planned, or are you just letting the players explore? If you don't have a campaign, do you have a story happening in the background? I don't have a large overarching plot for this region this time. Instead, what I've been doing is I've been building out the region and making lots of little plot elements that can be built on and can be drawn on to become kind of main plot threads if that's something the players are interested in. So each of these regions has kind of a big thing that I can draw on to be like a main plot if the players want that. They have expressed they are interested in kind of running shorter adventures rather than going, right, we're going to spend the next 2 years working towards this one big plot. We'd rather do 6 to 8 sessions on this thing and then go and do something else somewhere else on the map or in the region. So that's what we're going to try initially, but there's plenty of scope for big plots if they kind of get stuck or spin their wheels or decide that they want to dig their teeth into something like more substantial. Complete brain fart then. I've completely forgot what was going on there. Yeah, Phoenix is always straight on it with the save your work. It's why it's there, because otherwise I will forget. And also hydrate. Yeah, we've no hydrate reward. Right, so let's go ahead and get our elven ruin placed in the Howling Badlands. So we want to create from template. We're going to use the points of interest template, and we're going to go elven ruin. I'm going to hide that page. Sly Cougar, thank you very much for the Prime sub. Very much appreciated. Hass says, I think I disappointed my DM a bit in a chase sequence. I was running down a druid that tried to escape from me, kept throwing down various magical thorns, like Wall of Thorns or Spike Growth. His main problem was that I'm a level 7 cleric. I simply dispelled all his magical shrubbery and then just walked him down. I mean, if you've got the powers and they're available, I mean, I get that from the DM perspective of, oh, I expected this to take longer. And then I find that a lot of the times I overlook like the super obvious kind of options that the players might go for. And I'll think, oh, I've got this really cool obstacle for them. And then something as simple as just a dispel will get rid of it immediately. I'm like, I really planned on that taking like 45 minutes. Okay, I've got nothing immediately for you. Just get ready. And we've got a hype train going. Amazing. Thank you very much, everyone. We are starting with the desert this week. I just generated a random region from my master Excel spreadsheet. And our first option was an elven ruin out in the Howling Badlands. So we're going to start with that. And then we're also going to have a look and see if we can incorporate that NPC. Brendan Copperbeard. So that's more of a dwarf name to me. So we'll save Copperbeard for a different location. So we want to go ahead and change our pin here. This is a permanent location, so it is a pink pin, and then it is some kind of ruin. So what have we got for our ruins? Can't remember what the ruin icon has been up until now, so let's go ahead and have a look. It's either going to be a little castle icon or it's like a little doorway icon, I think, but I can never remember. QRST. Ruins. It is a little castle icon, that's fine. A traveling merchant dwarf. A traveling merchant dwarf could be cool. No, we don't want to click that. We want to edit pin. And then we're going to choose the rook. Yeah, it's called rook. Cool. So this ruin, we know it's got something to do with our desert elves, this group of red-skinned elves, and they fly around on these magical skiffs, kind of sailing the dunes. We know that there's a random encounter with one nearby, so maybe this ruin could have been kind of a former elven city that suffered some kind of tragedy. And when the feeling's gone and you can't go wrong, it's tragedy. Suffer some kind of tragedy. The desert elves operate from here. So it's like ruined compared to what it would have been. I'm glad someone called that. But it would still be kind of an operations base for them. I mean, it will be a very different kind of stream if I'm just gone, just some lo-fi going in the background and you're just staring at the bookshelves. I'm a Warforged, so the DM simply described it as the Terminator just running steady. How I was towering over this halfling druid, 2-meter robot versus 1-meter halfling. Plan for the halfling to fling himself down a hill and meld into the loose earth and plop away. Just towering over this halfling. The city was built around an oasis, which is likely if it's slap dab in the middle of the desert. The name should probably be related to that, since it would definitely be the most noteworthy feature of the location. Something about a spring or well. Let's see whether or not the evocative place name generator can... Ooh. So the first result was voiceless pillar. Pillar we won't use, but I like voiceless. So I like the voiceless well. Let's go the voiceless well. Nice. So built around some kind of water source, was home to a larger number of desert elves. Some kind of tragedy struck. Now it's kind of ruined, and it's where the remnants of the desert elves kind of operate their desert skiffs from. So let's generate another place. So what have we got here? Some kind of place of power in the hinterlands. So the glass hinterlands is this region up top here. Some kind of place of power. I think that we should go with some kind of magical place of power, and for that I think that we will draw from the Secrets of Magic book from Pathfinder 2nd edition. So let's go ahead and pull that out and have a look, because I'm pretty sure there are some kind of options for that. Yes, Navtar, in this last week I added columns for places and dominant citizens. So fingers, what the generator I'm using is a custom Excel spreadsheet that I'm in the middle of building. When it is done, I am going to make it freely available, but it is not done yet. So I have, let me go ahead and see. Let's see here, desktop. Let me go ahead and see whether I can share this. What would it be? It'd be window capture. Window capture. Make source visible? No. don't want to make the source visible yet. Nope, it's not window capture, it'd be program. Trying it on the fly. Right, browser, it's not browser. I can't remember what it is to get the spreadsheet up. Let me figure this out. Are you using the PDF for Pathfinder 2nd Edition? No, I'm using the book because it's on my shelf. So I'm gonna try and look at two things at once. No, that's gonna hurt my brain trying to look at two things at once. Is it browser? Is that a browser source? No, it's not a browser source. Help me, OBS. Tell me what I need to do. I thought it would be window capture, but it doesn't seem to be. Display capture. Let's go. Display. Oh moly. Okay, that's fine. Everything's fine. We're just gonna deal with it. So hopefully now, after, I feel lost too. So this is the spreadsheet that I'm using. Let me go ahead and jump on to the index. So I've been working on this for a little while now. I've got some Pathfinder specific stuff in it, including some lists of items and creatures, just so that I don't have to go to the archives of Nethys, just so I can do it from within this sheet, as well as information on wealth and item by level and things like that. And then I've got a whole bunch of generators. So I've got a city generator that gives me buildings, shop names, kind of decorative information. What else have we got? We've got the evocative place name generator, which kind of combines two different words and then gives who's a citizen and a threat. So if we cycle through, we've got the Dead Valley that's home to Goliaths and is threatened by demons, or Ogre's Steps, which is citizens is lizard folk and they're threatened by a manticore, stuff like that. And then the one that we've been using most is the generic points of interest generator. Up until now, up until this week, it's just been the points of interest list. But this week I added kind of a weighted region generator. So you can see here, like, for example, Hirondale is the smallest of the regions in the Jewel Cities, so it only gets 2 entries in this list, so it's less likely to come up. And then same with citizens, I've added the dominant citizen, so you can see most of them are human, and then we've got a smaller weighting of all of the other ancestries. So as we scroll through, you can see like a dark ritual site that's in the last region, which doesn't have a name yet. If you have the channel points, you can name that. It is a new channel point option. There is only one of them because it's the last of the nations in this region and on this map that needs to be named, and it exists in the channel points. And this dark ritual site would have elves involved in it somehow, or we could have a beast in Novaris that is attacking a human. And that's how we've been generating a lot of the pins for this region, kind of cycling through these options. 5,000 points, I so could Bobland. Then we've got hex scroll generator, location names, resource list, a whole bunch of other stuff. The one I've been working on this week is a free company generator, so it tells you what region they are based in, what their alignment is, what their influence is, how well known they are, what their fighting strength is, and how wealthy they are. And what else have I got? I particularly like the NPC generator. So the NPC generator is pretty substantial. So it gives you a first name, a last name, their ancestry, gender, age, height, profession, their religion, if they've got one, a quirk, an ideal, and then an always never statement to give you a sense of who they are. And it's a pretty good way of generating a person. So Memphis Brunson, a gnome male who's middle-aged, average height. I don't know what a Hersir is. I grabbed a list of professions. Worships the goddess Onira, who is the goddess of dreams, has a high-pitched voice, and they are always drawn to help others in need, and they always forgive, and they never tell people about their god. So that's an example of kind of military commander. There we go. Thank you very much. So that's an example of the kind of things we're building here. Like I said, this is going to be available eventually. There's infinites of us again. No, there we go. We're fixed. It's going to be available eventually when I finish it. Right, so let's figure out a place of power from the Secrets of Magic. So, Book of Unlimited Magic, I think that's probably where we're going to go for it. Wellspring Magic, 248. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at Wellspring Magic. In this. Wellspring Magic wells up within characters so mighty that it can overwhelm them and explode out of their control. Characters with Wellsprings can recover spells throughout the day, powering through countless battles, but the overwhelming flow of magic could be a violent surge at any time. So this is kind of wild magic surge type stuff. So instead of a place of power, we could have a person of power, Silas Ragnfast. That could be our person of power, and our story here could be that there is either a young or inexperienced magic user who has this wellspring magic and it's kind of erupting forth from them, and they have become a danger to those around them. Let's go ahead and create from template. Wellspring Magic is so nice, but unfortunately it's not Pathfinder Society legal. I did not know that. Let's go Wellspring Mage as our option here, and then we'll go with Silas as the Wellspring Mage. So Silas Ragnfast is a Wellspring Mage who cannot fully control their power and is a danger to themselves and those around them. Right, so we can mark that as complete. And then I know that I'm pretty sure that I missed some comments. So let's go up and have a looky here. Let's have a look. I feel lost. I feel lost. Let's have a look. Bobland. It's too much pressure to name a whole region. It is a lot of pressure, but having it there means that there's a chance that I don't have to come up with a name myself. What happened here? I don't think that the kind of receiver for my wireless keyboard is very strong, and if it doesn't have like direct line of sight, it really struggles to pick up like half of my keystrokes. Power. And now I have to go and figure out what the I was trying to say. Themselves and those around them. That was painful to try and figure out around them. Cool. Right, okay. Yes, Fingers has got Brendan Copperbeard. So that as soon as the chance for a dwarf comes up, we're gonna Copperbeard this. Happened on one table at Gen Con. The GM was coming from Adventurers League and he was changing things on the fly. A player I know called HQ, and HQ contacted me because I was running that scenario. Organized play isn't something I have a significant amount of experience with when it comes to any system. I've never played in organized play. I've mined through a couple of the organized play scenarios looking for kind of one-shot ideas before, because they are obviously designed to be played in a really short amount of time. Like at a convention, they're perfect to go and look for one-shot ideas. Okay. We've got another one in the Hinterlands. So this point of interest is a fiend, so a monster location, a fiend in the Hinterlands. Now, our dominant citizen here is listed as half-orc, but I'm going to switch that out for dwarf, so we can use Copperbeard here, and we can have, let's make Copperbeard a hunter, like a fiend hunter, who's out in the kind of wilderness looking for this fiend. So I'm gonna say up here in the mountains, or on the coast, kind of coast mountain region right here. So let's go with monster, and we want some kind of fiend, or the kind of fiend doesn't really matter, because I can decide that when the players get here, we can figure out what level they are, decide on the fiend then. So what is important is that we are going to have a Venator. So the Venators are a group of monster hunters. They're a monster hunting faction in my world, kind of like the witches. So we're going to have a Venator here, and that is going to be Brendan Copperbeard, who is on the prowl hunting for a fiend. We cannot see the map. That's a very good point. I had it pointed at my face, which is useless when we're doing map related things. There we go. Let's hide the pin. And then we want to copy the dwarf's name. A dwarven Venator. Named from the Venators is hunting a fiend in the area. Perfect. I'm going to zoom us out and have a look and see how close we are to the 400, because I'm not 100% sure. So what are we? 222 plus 174. We've got 396. Damn. So we need 4 more locations to get us over that 400 threshold. So let's just keep going with the random generator, I guess, since it's working at the moment. Red light. I am using a Legend Keeper. That's what I'm using to put all the pins in. So next we are going to have some kind of a bunch of shrines. Shrines aren't super interesting to me right now. A military camp in our last region that's dominant citizenship is half orcs. That could be interesting. I don't think we've got much in the way of any kind of military presence in this last region, actually. We've got a bunch of monsters that are knocking around here, some resources, a plague village, an abandoned caravan, but we've got no military presence. So let's go ahead and figure out where we're going to place this. If we have it be... So I need to zoom out, so I'm actually looking at the whole region, because it goes in this U shape here. It's all up here and all down here. So we've got merchant caravans, traveling knights, dueling dragonborn. So let's go ahead and place it near this adventuring camp that's been destroyed, and place it up in the hills. Yeah, the hills, Bob. That's a good suggestion. So we're going to go ahead and create from template. We want this to be our quest, our point of interest, and this is going to be a military camp. Hide our pin, create it and pin it, and then go ahead and edit our pin, make it pink, because it is a location and not just a point of interest. And then, so this is a military camp predominantly occupied by half orcs. Why is it occupied by half orcs? Don't know. We don't really know anything about this region yet, so until we know more, that's all I'm going to develop on that. If it turns out that this whole region ends up kind of tilting towards orcish, then that explains it. If not, then this can be a military camp for an orc-based free company or faction of some kind, so we don't need to worry about that too much. Sly says, random world building question. The main empire my campaign is taking place in has a structure very similar to the Seven Kingdoms, where 9 great houses rule over the land with lesser and vassal houses. I'm having an issue justifying using other spices for those houses as my king is human. Other species for those houses because the king is human. I mean, the justification would be if you were playing a system where other species exist. The houses themselves they don't. If a house controls a region, not everyone in that region needs to be of one species. It can just be the ruling class of that particular house. So if we take the Game of Thrones example, the North doesn't all need to be orcs. It could just be the Starks are orcs and they rule over the North, but there are other species in the North as well. There are orcs and humans and elves and everything. Just the Starks who are in charge of that region are orcs. That's how I'm kind of approaching it in general. I'm trying to avoid having every instance of a species or an ancestry's presence be kind of self-contained. So in the Jewel Cities, we have an example of that in Erexis. That is kind of the lizard folk enclave in this region. And the fact that there is a justification for them all being lizard folk because they have insulated themselves thanks to conflict with the surrounding nations. And then it plays into their belief systems and their customs. You know, they have their one road going through because otherwise people would just trample through their region. Easier to let them come in on one road rather than try and police the whole border. But in general, there's no kind of ancestral restrictions at a national level here. I have tried moving away from that kind of elf country, dwarf country. I've got a lot of that kind of in my older campaign settings, and I kind of justify that as being those are the kind of original seats of power for those ancestries. So elves, for example, all elves in my world are descended from a group of elves that come from a region called the Everglades. It's a vast forest, and their capital city is called Inyarin, and they're called the Inyarin elves. They all have like alabaster, like a white skin, like full on white. And they come from the Feywild originally, and that's kind of where they all started, but then spread out. So when you go to the Everglades and Inyarin, there's still disproportionately a large number of elves, but when you find elves elsewhere, it's not so much. When are you planning to run a campaign in this world? When my players finish our current 5e game. So we are level 16 at the moment. We've had a couple of kind of stops and start weeks recently because I've not been very well. But hopefully we are coming into what should be kind of the last stretch of the campaign now. They are kind of going towards kind of the last conflicts and gearing up ready to fight the final boss. Right, we have another NPC. Welcome everybody. We're doing some collaborative world building and trying to get ourselves over the 400 pins on our map here. I am trying to tab into the right place. Okay, so we've got another NPC here. Am I on the right page? I'm not on the right page. Manage Raw Request. There we go. Brendan Copperbeard. Did we add? Yeah, we added him. He was one of the Venators chasing that fiend. So we have an elf, the founder of the Voiceless Well. Cool. So we can copy that and we can place that into the Voiceless Well. And we'll go ahead here and if we can, yeah, we'll drop that into a secret block. Pew. So Athran Avimil, founder or maybe multiple founders of the Voiceless Well millennia ago, potentially a legendary figure, but could also be historical, highly revered by the elves in the desert, and there are lots of stories and myths about his wisdom, his virtues, etc. Awesome. That's ideal. Right then. Yeah, Legend Keeper for the pins and Incarnate for the map. Right, rewards queue quest is currently empty. Good. So I think we should have like three pins left. Finger says, I thought Wonder Draft was being used here. So I have made maps in Wonder Draft in the past. I currently make all my region and city maps, everything that's not a dungeon, in Incarnate, because it's got higher resolution assets. So when I export it out at like 8K resolution, it means that I still get the really nice, like, I can zoom right the way in and I don't lose huge amounts of fidelity. Like, this is a pretty compressed version of the image. The base image is like huge compared to this, but this still retains a lot of that detail because they are much higher resolution assets. So we placed our orc military camp. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. Let's see if any of these jumping out at me. I know I've added some new ones, so I'm going to have a scroll and see what we have in the new ones. So we've got smugglers, traveling smugglers, prisoners, soldiers, soldiers fighting monsters, soldiers fighting bandits, a traveling adventure party, and an unusual weather effect. Let's go ahead. I think. Let's see. Let's give a couple more cycles. So traveling halfling soldiers in the Badlands. I like that. Just a little band of halflings out in the desert. I like that. Let's go ahead and add them somewhere. So let's have a look at the desert. So over on our west side in the desert, we got a lot of battle sites where some of the kind of movers and shakers in that region have been, and then over in the kind of east is more open terrain. So I'm thinking somewhere in the east, this group of halflings. Let's put them on the river here. So we've got some stone golems here. Stone golems are big, halflings are small, so let's go here. I see it makes sense using Incarnate. Issue I have in general drawing stuff on Dungeon Draft or Wonder Draft is doing with mouse is a very long process. Start using a drawing tablet, but it's a very long process. Yeah, I've made entire maps with both mouse and keyboard and with a drawing tablet. I tend to use my tablet display for getting coastlines done and then for blending colors. For most other things, I do tend to use the mouse and keyboard, just because it's a lot of like moving back and forth to click between different assets. And I find it easier to do that on my big screen with my mouse and keyboard rather on my little drawing tablet. Usually I don't bother with having high detail from this close because it's at the scale where you point where your assets themselves are not accurate enough depictions of the world, shape of a mountain. Yeah, that's true. I recently started making my coat of arms by AI and they look incredible. I imagine that AI would do a pretty interesting job of coat of arms. Using any pun names in your world or keeping it more serious. I tend to default to serious, but sometimes if it depends on how good the pun is. If it's a real good pun, then we end up with a pun. Probably wouldn't head too far from the river, considering the supplies such a small group of people can carry. That's very true. The halflings approaching the giants. Wait a day and see what the fight and watch the fight instead. Yeah. I don't know what the halflings are doing, but given we already have some big things in the region, let's juxtapose with some smaller creatures. Ah yes, Pepsi the Shen King. Yeah, we do sometimes have puns. I've injected many puns into these cities already. The glorious city of glitter. Yeah, we have glitter as well. Yeah, we have more puns than I thought. Like, puns slip in a lot more than I thought. Right, what are we doing? A halfling band. I was going to put halfling band, but we've already got like a Burning Man style festival. Halfling militia. And I don't think we need anything more than just knowing that there is a band of halflings, a militia of halflings moving through the desert and then near some stone golems, because we can add the contextual information, when we get closer to that, in terms of if the players are in the region, we've got an idea of where they're going. Maybe they're a band on their way to the festival, got lost in the desert. Could be they're not far away from the desert, so we have the Flaming Halfling Festival from a couple of weeks ago, so that has got Maze, which is a halfling band that play country versions of popular music, and I have a whole playlist of country cover versions of pop punk music, so that if my players go to this festival, I have this whole pop punk country playlist ready to go for the Maze band to play. There's Anvil Head, the dwarf metal band that was suggested in chat, and Timothy Toddletins, the halfling bard, was also suggested in chat, and so was rapper Slim Scaly. So actually, I completely take back what I said about pun names. We've got loads of pun names, as it turns out. So yeah, this halfling militia, they could be on their way to the Flaming Halfling Festival. That's definitely a potential. Let's go ahead and... I've lost count. I want to keep track properly. So we're on 298. 398? 398. I turned on Pin Dragon. Need to turn that off before I do anything else. Otherwise, everything will be terrible. Turn off pin clustering. Don't touch any of the pins until they've all done. There we go. Shouldn't that be in a secret? The page itself is secret. So pretty much all of the points of interest, other than kind of named map locations, are secret by default. And then I keep them secret so that I can reveal them as and when needed. Areedzuna. The desert is called the Howling Badlands. It just hasn't been updated on the map because the map has gotten to the point where when I export it, it takes an hour to export at 8K. So I only make changes to the map when I've got quite a few. I only export it when I've got quite a few changes to make. So yeah, I've gone in since a couple of weeks ago when the desert changed to the Howling Badlands. I've not updated the pin here. Oh yeah, I have. So let's go and check the Howling Badlands. And then we've got some borders and some more rivers and stuff that exist in the Incarnate map, but I haven't exported that because, like I said, it takes a full hour to export at 8K now because there's so much going on in it. And it's very rare that I can be bothered to sit there for the hour. What I usually do is, like, if I'm going to the cinema or something in the evening, I'll stick it on to export while I'm at the house so I don't have to stand there and watch it export. So we have 2 more pins to reach 400. So let's keep going and see what we end up with. Let me make sure I've got everything pressed the right way. Right, so some kind of celestial presence in the Expanse. So the Expanse is our central region on the island of Orr, which is over here. So kind of all of this middle bit, kind of from around here all the way down, is the Expanse. It's very resource poor, so whereas the rest of the Jewel Cities is very resource rich, the very middle of the island is quite resource poor. So instead of being broken into multiple smaller regions like everywhere else is that can kind of support themselves because of their rich resources, the Expanse is just a much bigger region because it's so poor. There's nothing there. There's no reason to invade the Expanse other than to move through it. So we're going to have some kind of celestial presence in the Expanse. Now, we already have a celestial in Erin's Barrow, which is like a great military graveyard. So if we're going to put it somewhere, we need to put it somewhere quite far away from that. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere up here on our kind of borders with our last region. You invade the Expanse for mushrooms, yeah, for the mycelium. Since you mentioned the elves are inhabiting the desert, what if the festival is taking place over some sort of ancestral elven lands and therefore somehow be cursed? At least the elves would be processing it happening in that location. Could definitely be a possibility to have some kind of conflict between the two. What size assets are you using in Incarnate? I want to say around 20. I think 20 is where I start and then hold it up to others and just kind of go up and down. So Sly, the option for 8K, it is one of the Incarnate premium features, so it is the paid version. And I don't think that you can edit at 8K. You can only export at 8K. So I edit at 2K, which means I can't actually see a lot of the assets. Kind of at my editing resolution, they look like a mess, and I have to export to make sure they look right. I'm used to it now, but when I first started making them, I was like, I can't believe how poor these look, because I'd shrunken them down so much and was editing at such a lower resolution compared to my export resolution. But yeah, the 8K option is there when you export. So we've got some kind of celestial creature going on here. We're going to have it in this region of mountains, which we don't currently have. We've got a celestial armor set is in the mountain, so let's have a look. Celestial armor sets +2 resilient chainmail, set of armor that belongs to legendary summoner Shaldrum Lord. The hook for this is found in a city in the Dusk Empire, and the set is found in ore. So we have a kind of plot hook built in here, so if we want to incorporate a celestial, we've got celestial armor, so it makes sense to have a celestial in pursuit of that armor. So if we go kind of in this region here, and we'll go create from template, and so some kind of celestial hunter who is on the hunt for the armor, trying to find the armor set. So if the players want to get the celestial armor and they end up in these mountains looking for it, they have an adversary who's also kind of on the case. So they're in search of the celestial armor set and will stop at nothing to acquire it. Add-ons don't mention is after the armor. Maybe he thinks it can cure him. The mycelium. Infecting somewhere in the plane, can't go back to the celestial plane. Potentially. We can definitely add it as an option. With some kind of spore disease. That's not how you spell disease. From mycelium, Gannett's mycelium, and thinks the armor is the cure. And I'm pretty sure there's some pretty cool like mushroom people art in Pathfinder that I can draw on that for. So that takes us to what, 399? So we're on the 400. So I feel like this needs to be a really decent option. So I'm gonna spend a little time cycling through some of these until something jumps out. So like coaching inns, church sites, none of those are interesting. A murder site could be interesting, depending on where we end up putting it. Or we go into the evocative points of interest generator and generate a couple there and see what we end up with. Murder site of a god. I mean, we could go that metal and have some kind of super being, not necessarily a god, just some incredibly powerful creature having been killed. If we're going to do that, we want to zoom out and have a look. So we've got Erin's Barrow, which is a graveyard and kind of important place over here anyway. So I want to move, definitely don't want it to be there. So it's either going to be somewhere in the last region or kind of out in the Dusk Empire or up in the Badlands somewhere. I think maybe somewhere in the Empire, because we got a lot of space we need to cover in the Empire. Demonic Ronin subbed with Prime. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. If anyone is in the chat and is watching and you don't already follow the channel, go ahead and drop a follow. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to one channel a month for free with your Prime. And if you haven't already done that for someone, I would very much greatly appreciate it if you did that for me. While I figure out what incredibly powerful being was slaughtered here. So we want it to be old, kind of like legend status, because we don't want it to pull focus from any of the kind of current superpowers that are going on. So we definitely want it to be old. The body of a god buried in the desert for aeons, recently revealed to be shifting sands due to the mortals trying to excavate, build a new settlement. Body of the Tarask. So the Tarask in my setting is already a god. The Tarask is a primordial creature called Terras, and when kind of the new round of gods came into power, they couldn't kill Terras, so they imprisoned him beneath the earth. So Terras does kind of slumber beneath the earth, and there are a series of magical seals that keep him imprisoned. One of those is already in the Dusk Empire, and it's down here, I believe. Yeah, there's a monastery of monks kind of protecting the seal of Terras, and this is one of 12, I believe, dotted across the world, and they kind of draw ley lines and lines of power between them, of kind of chaotic energy. So I don't want to go Terras, but I don't even think I necessarily want a god, but some kind of mythic creature, a hero, or that equivalent power could work. An ancient dragon. Dragon is definitely kind of on the level. I don't think we've done anything with dragons yet. Let me have a look. We have not got anything with dragons. So a dragon would kind of be perfect. So let's go ahead and let's move it into the mountains so it can't just be stumbled across. We've got a Venator outpost here that needs to be moved because it can't be too close to our dragon. Let's drag over there. Dragon. Ha! An ancient dragon skeleton. We either go skeleton or we go just like a full-on ancient dragon that's slumbering. I think maybe we go like a living dragon that is just asleep. Body of a god so big there are 2 pins for it, one for the head and one for the tail, and they're 2 hexes apart. That would be an incredibly sized creature. Maybe I wrote something dragon. That's a very good point. There is some kind of now that you said it, we've got the Dragon's Woods. That's over in Novaris. That's not here. Some drooling. There's a sand dragon, but you know that's small potatoes. It's only challenge 11. There's a green dragon. We have more dragons here than I thought. Again, that's only 12, so we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, so we can go real big for this dragon. I'm thinking, Bob, you are like an encyclopedia for when it comes to the creatures in the bestiaries. What's like the chunkiest dragon we can put in this? I'm going through my list in Excel now, and sorting by dragons to see what we get. A Dragon Shard Guardian. That's pretty cool. CR22, an Elder Wormwraith. That sounds metal as all heck. You're gonna open the page for me? Right. No? Apparently not. That's fine. We'll search for it ourselves. Oh, there we go. Excel's finally catching up and is like, here you go, I'll load the page for you. An Elder Wormwraith, the most powerful of these monsters. Elder Wormwraiths sometimes form spontaneously from legendary dragons haunted by an irrational fear of the afterlife. but most have simply existed for over 1,000 years, growing in power all the while. That's pretty metal. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Ancient Umbral Dragon. We love Umbral Dragons. Ancient Umbral Dragon. Ancient Umbral Dragons. So it's going to be one of these two. And I think it's going to come down to which one's got the cooler art. It's the Wormwraith. Like, that's not nearly as cool. The Wormwraith takes it. Like, that is baller. The Wormwraith. So we need some kind of incredible name for the Wormwraith, right? It's not just going to be a Wormwraith. We're going to put that as the name for the thing for now. But we need some, like, Paarthurnax level name for our Elder Wormwraith. That's CR22, right? It's CR23. That's the level of power we want. Hide that. Use the Ancient Underworld Dragon. Ancient Underworld Dragon PF2. I've already clicked this, which makes me think that it's... Does it exist somewhere? Or have I looked at it? I must have looked at it previously, because I have already clicked it. Ah, it's only CR16. Weak source. Yeah, that looks familiar as well. So I think we might have placed one of them already. I didn't think we had this many dragons, honestly. I thought we'd avoided dragons pretty well until now, but apparently not. Apparently there are dragons everywhere, which I'm not wholly against, but I'm surprised. Right, let's copy our Elder Wormwraith. Phrysainth the Dark. It Zales the Timeless Nightmare is a metal name. I like the Timeless Nightmare. It Zales Phrysainth. Neither of those jump out. Certainly not as much as the Timeless Nightmare, because that is full-on metal name. And these sound ancient and kind of Greek. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for ancient. I don't know about the kind of Greek, but I definitely like Timeless Nightmare. Jeremy. Oh, don't make me laugh. I've not recovered enough to laugh. My ribs cannot take it. Jeremy. Zarch, the name of one. Like, I like the Z sounds. Like the Z is always a good consonant to use for like really old stuff. Let's see what we can construct from that. So we want a Z in there. I like Zondarran. Zondarran is very close to the Zeremy, the Timeless Nightmare. Zeremy Beremy. I like the ZR sounds. So Zraynath. I like Zraynath. I like that it takes the elements from a couple of them. Jeremy, Zraynath, or Jeremy. The Timeless Nightmare. So for this would absolutely, I want to make a note to myself to use one of the Fizzban's dragon layers for this, because Fizzban's Treasury Dragons has a whole bunch of maps for dragon layers, and a lot of them are really cool, so we'll draw on one of them for this, and it would be a whole multi-stage thing. So this thing has lived under the mountain for hundreds of years, or maybe thousands. This seems like the perfect opportunity to have a look and see at our timeline. Here comes trouble. Hello, Era. How are we? So we want to have a look at our timeline and kind of figure out when Jeremy started knocking about. So we've got kind of 1,000 years to play with before the Alchemeric Cataclysm, which is one of the big ones. Do we want it to? We could predate the Cataclysm. That lends a level of holy crap, this is old, that everyone kind of in world would understand. Given that kind of the Alchemeric Cataclysm is when they mark the start of their recorded time. Jezza, the timeless. I like that a lot. So yeah, I think we go pre-Cataclysm, so we go pre-dawn of the current age, pre-dawn of the current calendar. So really it's an arbitrary choice sometime before that. So let's go ahead and generate a number. Roll 1d1000. Predates the Cataclysm by like 6 days. Let's just roll a 1,000-sided dice. So 779 years before the Cataclysm. Ideal. So we want to go ahead and add there we go. So 779 BC, so that's before Cataclysm. Given how the dragons perceive time, the Cataclysm could be when the original dragon began to shift into its current form of a worm wraith. Maybe it saw its kin die in the event, and because it's scared of its own mortality. Absolutely, the Cataclysm could be a turning point for it. So we want to make a note that the elder worm wraith. Maybe we don't need this on the timeline necessarily. That lends out like a world level of event that maybe it doesn't need to be. So End of the Mountain since 779 BC. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Oh, now, so it's Zranath, also known as Jeremy, also known as Jezza, also known as Roy Batty. I'm honestly surprised you're even capable of believing in my existence. That's pretty on brand for like a super old dragon. That's the level of haughtiness that I expect from something this monstrous. So we've got a sense of kind of how long they've been there. So let's go ahead and have a look at Elder Worm Wraiths. Because I don't know much about them. They're powerful, spontaneously formed from dragons haunted by an irrational fear of the afterlife. They've simply existed for over 1,000 years, growing in power all the while. Bestiary 3. It's always Bestiary 3. Like, Bestiary 3 is full of the good stuff. Please just give it a strong Scouse accent. Like Dave Lister. It's a nice guy that lives under a rock. Most powerful of these monsters, sometimes formed yada yada yada. They survive for over a millennia, typically by hiding away in remote caverns or wastelands and enacting their far-reaching plots through proxies. Dedicate themselves to the pursuit of learning, but typically the only knowledge they carve is that which grants advantages against their enemies. So they have a level of elder intelligence. So that's cool. So they got +9 to their intelligence, +9 to their wisdom, and their charismatic. So they're a thinking man's dragon, which is pretty cool. Let's see whether they've got what kind of cool consume souls. So it sucks in the souls of nearby creatures. Each creature in a 60-foot cone must attempt a DC 46 will save. On a critical failure, the creature is slain. That's yeah. It eats souls. Like it needs to have some kind of cult of followers. Kobolds is the obvious choice. We probably won't go with kobolds. We will probably go with a full, dedicated faction. The acolytes of Jeremy. Jeremy's boys with an I. Who go out and fetch me their souls. So let's have a look and see what else we've got here. It's still the same one. So they can become doomed or take 100 negative damage, or they become doomed 1. Right? Okay, so that's fine. So we know that it can suck souls. It can push through the ectoplasmic veil to temporarily assume a physical form made of ectoplasm. It loses the incorporeal trait, though they can return to their incorporeal form as free action. Once the ability ends, they can't use the ability again for 1d4 rounds while in the ectoplasmic form. So they can goop out. That's cool. Draconic heritage might be obvious, but they don't have to be the only followers. Yeah, we'll almost certainly go. There'll be some kind of draconic following. Kobolds in general are quite dragon worshipping, so if they heard about Jeremy, they would probably be very interested in collecting souls. Phase Lurch. As a stride action, the Worm Wraith can pass through walls and material objects as long as they are incorporeal. So these things are just incorporeal? That's harrowing. Where are they? Some undead kobold. It could have if we play with the souls aspect. So for those that were in stream last week, I believe it was last week, we did some work on the Hollowed, who are a group of powerful sorcerers who the Subjugator, a former emperor who kind of ruled over the Dusk Empire and almost conquered all of Talabar. They did that with the help of a group of powerful sorcerers called the Hollowed. Part of that process is ripping out their souls. So this seems like a perfect place for one of the Hollowed to have fled and kind of taken up residence and is now serving this creature, because they don't have a soul, so they can't have their soul taken from them. So they probably think themselves more on an equal level with this thing. Could be an interesting element to play with. So definitely want to incorporate one of the Hollowed here. So one of the Hollowed is a prominent figure in their faction. And I have no idea what this faction is going to be. It's a prominent figure. Last week was random stuff. The week before that was factions. So Hollowed either 2 weeks ago in the faction stream or before them. Yeah, quite possibly. So in terms of the Hollowed, let's have a look and see who we've got. Why are you not giving me just go to the page. Let's try this again. The Hollowed. There we go. So the Shadow Master is already assigned. The Broken One, it could be the Broken One, we just know her real name. We have the Southern Wind, who is often seen down in the Unclaimed Lands. The Ravenous is already assigned, and the Thousand Faces already assigned. So let's see our options. We've got the Broken One, the Firebringer, the Ashened, the Imprisoned, the Constructed, the Collector, the Crude Jewel, the Empty, the Harvester. Come on, this thing harvests souls. It writes itself. It's the Harvester. So this serves the Elder Worm Wraith, Jeremy Beremy. Jeremy Zeremy? Jersey. So they serve the Elder Worm Wraith. So the Harvester is going to be one of their kind of prominent lieutenants. The Harvester, one of the Hollowed. J-Dog. Maybe try and resist the urge to pull a Shang Tsung reference whenever he harvests souls. Whenever I think of harvesting souls, I think of, was it Call of Duty Black Ops in the zombies mode, where the voice is just like, fetch me their souls. That's always what comes up. Followers will establish a city in his name, and it will be called New Jersey. The New Jersey Turnpike. Cool. So we need to figure out what this faction is. Immediately I'm like, I want to go soul drinkers for the faction, like the Space Marine chapter from 40k, because soul drinkers is just a really cool. Yeah, we're doing it. The soul drinkers. It's evocative. It ticks the boxes for a faction, or it would do if we could get it to. Let's go ahead and expand this. Soul drinkers. Add. Create from template. And we want the faction template. Factions. Parent is going to be factions. We're going to go ahead and hide that. And then let's jump on through into that. So our operating location is in the Jewel Cities. Our leader is Jeremy, obviously. Our Elder Wormwraith, and also the Hollowed. What was the Hollowed's name? I've immediately forgotten it. The Harvester. There we go, the Harvester. The Harvester, their alignment is going to be Lawful Evil, and their HQ location is going to be the Elder Wormwraith. So they are a group. Who worship the Elder Wormwraith and go out into the world to gather people to bring back and sacrifice. So our key NPCs are going to be I've forgotten the Elder Wormwraith's real name. It's just Jeremy. Straight now. Right, I'm not putting Jeremy in brackets here against my better judgment. The Elder Wormwraith. And then we've got the Harvester. One of the Hollowed. Cool. Maybe go neutral evil, since death doesn't obey laws. It's just inevitability for all things. Death is inevitable, but the going out under the command of your elder dragon leader to bring back souls specifically to be harvested. I think you owe us for the Jeremy or your BG's steps reference. It was definitely steps. Definitely wasn't thinking BG's at the time. Thou shalt not take the name of Jeremy in vain. And they may consider it a huge honor if they are chosen to become a sacrifice to him, usually when they are dying anyway. Oh yeah, 100%. So notes. To be harvested. Is the greatest honor. Amazing. My brain is like, harvest me, Jeremy. Harvest me, Jezza. But that's baller as all hell. Like a cult that follows an elder wraith dragon, worm wraith, and finds soul sacrifice. That's awesome. Super cool, high level concept. Let's have a look. If we zoom out here now, that should be 400. Yeah. So the name of the harvester is what we need now. The devotees is not harvesting, it's ascending. Oh yeah, it would be an ascension for them. Like your soul, your soul binds you to this place, and only by having it removed can you go to wherever it is that this Elder Wormwraith is like This is a cool place. This is definitely not a pit of endless suffering. I'm going to send you to Ibiza and you're going to sit on the beach and drink mojitos for all eternity. I'm definitely not going to consume your soul and use it to power myself and stop your entire essence of being. Definitely not. Jeremy would never do that to you. But yeah, that is 400 pins. Well, round of applause. Well done, everybody. I'm going to use this as a chance to update our goals because we hit our follower goal a little while ago. I did notice it, but I didn't reference it. But thank you very much for the follows. If you aren't following the channel and you want the chance for more Jeremy-related content, now is absolutely the time to click the follow button and go ahead and set up a new goal there. Make sure that the rewards queue is sorted. The cool place where Jessa and his mates hang out. Only Jess. Right, so we have a roguish half-elf, leader of a thieves guild or an assassin group. That doesn't fit anywhere, just somewhere with them being a good rogue. Cool, so Cymere Woods. We are going to go ahead and have a quick look at the faction list. So they're going to be a good rogue. So we're not going to stick them in our Assassin's Guild. So we can place them somewhere else. We will need to... If I don't attach them to something, then 100% I will forget about them. If I create them as a person, but don't attach them to something, I will forget about them. So let's go ahead and... That doesn't fit anywhere. Just something to do with them being a good rogue. I mean, I can put them in the Assassin's Guild Turtle. That is absolutely possible. Let's have a look and see at the factions and see what we've got here. The Black Rose. Let's go ahead and for now we'll deposit them in the Black Rose. The Black Rose has got a lot of people already. So maybe we don't go to the Black Rose. Maybe they're a rogue in the Soul Drinkers. We're in there. We're in there anyway. Let's keep it in keeping with Jeremy, and let's stay at Club Jeremy for a while. It's a lovely place where the Burning Halflings happen every day of the year, non-stop, with all the best bands whose souls were harvested since the dawn of history. Exactly, endless parties. Club Jezza. Now we need to rewrite Club Tropicana as Club Jezza. Rickard Stickard May. That makes me think of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And it won't leave me, so Rickard Stickard May is going to be some kind of musician in the Flaming Heartham Festival. Go ahead and mark that as complete. Right, okay. We've hit our 400 pins. 100% a basis name yet. Let's go ahead and we'll take a very short break, I think, like a minute or so, for me to go and refill my drink and see if I can scrounge some throat sweets because my throat is feeling scratchy. So let me go and find some throat sweets and I'll be back in like a minute. I'm back. I couldn't find any throat sweets, so we're just going to have to do with hydration. And just hope that that sees us through. And wow, look at the volume in my hair. Holy moly. I'm assuming everyone's come out of the ad that I ran. But we'll wax lyrical for a minute or so until we're sure that everyone is back. Yeah, no throat sweets. Indigestion tablets, various forms of painkillers. No throat sweets though, so it's fine. As soon as we get done with the stream, we'll make some kind of hot beverage, some lemon and honey and whatever else it is you drink for sore throat. Okay, so we've passed the 400. I'm so pleased about that. I'm really glad that we did it with a monstrous time bending Jeremy. It's everything that we could have wanted. I don't know whether I'm reluctant to immediately follow up the Elder Wormwraith with just more random generated stuff. So I wonder, let's have a look. Let's jump over to our desktop view. Triple check that we have run through all of the requests, which we have indeed. And then switch back to the other tab. And then have a look and see what we've got going on here. So we now have 400 pins and locations on here, which is absolutely bonkers. You can see several points. I have placed a pin in every hex in a couple regions. So Aeldal, all up here in Novaris, the Vale, most of Hirondale, kind of completely covered now, which is what I want. It would be cool if you had a community channel in your Discord where we could post stuff. I do have a region of the Discord for my patrons. One of my patron tiers, the $10 tier, gets access to a bunch of extra information that comes with the Jewel Cities. I can definitely look into doing something in a more public sense when it comes to Jewel City stuff, because obviously there's a whole bunch of you that see the streams that don't have access to that. So we'll look into something in terms of getting something going in the Discord. Maybe a forum. There's a whole bunch of new forum features on Discord now. That could be an ideal way to use them if you're not part of the Discord. Link is Stream Elements has done it myself. Stream Elements has done it, but has not got the right link. I'm gonna fix that right now, because clearly what's happened is I've clicked on the enter a message bit, and that text has not vanished. So we've got timers, right? Discord. Click on our Discord timer, and then delete the bit where it says enter a message, and then hit save on that, and then probably want to double check that. Yep, there we go. Every one of the Stream Elements things has got enter a message. Cool, so they're all saved, so they will update properly in the future, which is good. Glad that I noticed that now, like an hour and a half into the stream, rather than when I was setting it up. But it's there, it exists. It'll work now. Yeah, the one I posted is the right link. The above one, the one that Stream Elements is posting kind of at a regular interval, that had like Discord enter as the link, because I hadn't removed the enter a message portion of the thing. But it's sorted now. Everything is fixed. Everything is right with the world. Right, so we've got our 400 pins. So that's all hunky-dory and sorted. And it's excellent. So in terms of kind of high-level look at the Jewel Cities now, we only have one region that's left to be named, which is our last region. as it is called on the map itself. Everything else has been named in terms of the like high level region names. We have got a pretty decent array of different factions and things going on there now. And New Jeremy. No, not New Jeremy. Not New Jersey either. We've got a pretty decent slate of factions. We've got a bunch of different free companies. The free companies of Talavar going on. We've got the Silver Gauntlet, the White Raven, Twilight and Dawn, the Order of Dawn. Let's see what else we've got. We've got a bunch of different kind of political elements going on here. I don't know why that Junkeeper has crashed. No, there we go. And we're getting close to the point where in pretty much every region, if the players were to start there, there would be kind of political elements to draw on and a bunch of different options when it comes to kind of conflicts and stuff. One thing that I have started doing, and I will let me load this up, and then I will switch the scene so you can see. I have started working on the kind of traveler's guide to the Jewel Cities. This is going to be kind of my player's guide to this region, and it is ultimately what will be given to my players before we start this campaign. I did this with Ashk. I did it with my first campaign as well. It's something that I really enjoy doing, giving my players a thing. I'm just setting it up. Right, click that and then make sure that that's going to work. Right, you should be able to see that now. Let me look at my Twitch screen. There we go. Yeah, cool. So this is again Affinity Publisher, which is what I use for SideQuest and all my other stuff. And I have been working on the Traveler's Guide to the Jewel Cities. So it'll have the map, and then it has kind of an introduction and our calendar for the year. So as we zoom in here, we have the 13 months of the Istar calendar, some information on the seasons and the holidays of the world kind of marked out here. There'll be some information on how time is tracked. None of this is final yet. None of the text. It's just starting to place things in. Are all of these art pieces specifically commissioned by you for this book? No, they are all stock art pieces. I did the map, but the rest are stock art pieces. So the cover is Dean Spencer. This particular piece is Emmanuel Martinez and Lima, I believe, is their last name. And there's some more Dean Spencer pieces, but they're all stock art that I've gathered over time. So there'll be our introduction and kind of, hey, welcome to the Jewel Cities, information on time and how time works in the setting. So the names of the days of the week, information on the calendar, the ages of the world, so how we categorize the big blocks of time. So we have like the primordial age, before time begins to really be counted, right the way through to the age of chaos, which is the current age, marked at the start of not the start, like halfway through my current campaign, when my players were kind of responsible for the apocalypse. That starts the age of chaos, which is what they're in now. Nevtal says, do you plan on commissioning special art for parts of the book? Probably not, because the main kind of purpose for the book is to give to my players. I am making it with stock pieces and with the proper licensing and stuff, so that I can make it available to patrons at that $10 tier when it is finished, so that people, if they want to run games in the Jewel Cities, they'll have everything they need. It's slander. I mean, it's not slander, you know. You could have stopped him opening the Ark of Chaos. You just put up a wall and decided to sit around. You know, gave him time to work the delicate latches. But then it's going to have a bunch of information on the different regions. So our 8 or 9 nations have kind of like some high level information on them. So for the Empire, it's things like information about the subjugation, the Hollowed, and the Burning Cascade. And then we'll have a section on gods and faith and like a really brief summary of each of the gods. This is basically copied from my last one, so the players are vaguely aware of a lot of these gods. Era unleashed Jeremy. Yep, Jeremy is all Era's fault. And then some information on kind of trade and currency, and some information on like pastimes and what people do in the Jewel Cities. And then a section on what the common people know. And the general idea of this and kind of all of the setting guides that I put out and give to players is here is the basic information your characters would know. So if it's in this thing, it's assumed knowledge. You don't need to make rolls for it necessarily. You can, anything in this kind of pack is stuff that you don't need to roll for. You already know. All your characters would know. It's big enough kind of world history that you would know. Like I said, this is super early in kind of the writing of this. I'm expecting it to run probably like 20 pages. Just going off the fact that we're at 12 pages already, and it's really only headings and like brief introductions to everything. But it'll be a useful thing for them to be able to get a sense of the world. Yeah, let's go ahead and click that. Yeah, that works. Look at us pressing buttons and not breaking everything. Winning. So what time are we on? We are on 20 to midnight. I'm kind of reluctant to add any more pins. I feel like drawing the hard line at 400 is satisfying. So what we're going to do is do what we usually do at the end-ish of every stream, is have like 15-20 minutes of kind of hanging out, and if there are questions and things that you want to know, either about the Jewel Cities and the setting, or any of the programs that I use, or world building or GM advice in general, go ahead and throw them down into the chat. Navtal says the players also get access to the Legend Keeper and Atlas, right? The book is just summarizing it in a nice way. Exactly. So they will have access to the Legend Keeper, and certain things will be available for them to know through the Legend Keeper. The book is just a shiny. It's just shiny. And then it's also useful for me to be able to go, hey, patrons, here is a nice thing for you as well. Had a question about the area north of the cut. There's a cove of some sort. I was wondering what's there. A cove. Let's have a look. Let's jump to the desktop and have a look at this. Do you mean this little bit on the left here, the bit that goes into the land? Is that what you mean? Howie. If it's this like insidey bit that you mean, Phoenix, I have no idea. No idea what's there yet. There's a couple of like 3 hexes up from the cut on the coast. Right, okay, cool. 3 hexes up from the cut on the coast. Cove. An inlet with this little bit here, right? So what we got here, we got some tombs, open graves, some mountains, monsters, and a shrine. In terms of what else is here, no idea yet, because we've not populated it. This is part of the Empire, so there'll be Empire-y things going on. Welcome, Thorn. Welcome to the stream. Lego Firehawk says, do you know if you can allow people in Legend Keeper to see certain articles while hidden to others, so I can have 2 games in 2 different groups and locations and they can't see each other? Not yet. I believe it is something that they want to do. Bear with me just 2 seconds. really regret not being able to find those storage suites. And breathe. It's not something that you can do at the moment. There are only 2 levels of permission. There is viewer and admin. It is something that I believe is intended to come in the future, kind of more granular. This specific player can see this, but this specific player can't. Dead wine gods, blood fungi, musical miners. Owie. I saw it and thought pirates. There are pirates knocking around in the cut. And there are some piratey activities fairly close by. Yeah, within like 100 miles, there's some piratey activity. Pirates are south of the cut, if I recall. I believe you are right. I think the Bronze Dragon pirates are operating out of the UCC Islands somewhere. Or I thought they were. I'm pretty sure they're somewhere down here. There's definitely pirates down in the bottom. Genuinely found this map massively intriguing. Me too, honestly. Like, it's one of the most fun things about doing these streams is discovering the world. It's one of my favorite things about creation and world building in general, is that kind of discovery of the world as you go through it. Like, I might come to some world building with some vague preconceived notions, but in general I try to go in fairly open and say, I've got like a vague idea, but I don't want to get too into the details, and I want to discover the things as I go along. Currently writing a homebrew pantheon for my homebrew world. So far the 4 gods are the gods of horror, temptation, despair, and purification. Haven't finished any of them other than the god of horror. I really like how evocative those kind of names are, like horror, temptation, despair, and purification. Super evocative. Like, I can imagine people kind of saying, oh, chastising each other for doing things, and being like, oh, you're going to be damned by the god of despair for that, or what have you. It's super cool. Callie says Aussie Oozborn, a gnome bard of some renown. They've got to go into the flaming halfling, haven't they? And I feel like we've got to go Oozy Oozborn, Oozy Oozborn, Oozy Oozborn. Another halfling bard. Like, all the halflings in the world are going to be at this festival. No, it's a bard, isn't it? It's a gnome. It's a gnome bard. Oozborn. I'm dying. Gnome bard. Oozborn. It's Pepsi all over again. Oh. Spawn. Oh, that's tickled me every time I open that. It's going to catch my eye now. Sounds like a plasmoid, but yeah, plasmoid was what I was thinking initially too. I only come here to cause chaos. That sounds about right. Wouldn't have it any other way. Spawn. At this point, it's just gonna be like 8 uus in a row. Just a plasmoid that every movement they make is an uu sound. Oh, that would be grotesque. Just this slithering creature that's just like ooing with every movement. Yeah, no, I don't like that. Don't like that at all. That gives me the creeps. That gives me the full-on creeps. He's a gnome though, honest. Yeah, I mean, a gnome ? Plasmoid, but is that an owl? Yeah. Oh, crikey. So yeah, if anyone has questions about the world or about any of the programs that I use or GMing in general or anything really, throw it down in the chat. I'll answer some of the most common ones in the form of fancy buttons on my Stream Deck. So the program that we've been using this evening is called Legend Keeper. I've got a bunch of videos about what it is and how it works and how I use it over on my YouTube channel, which is linked in the chat. If you don't know, I also have a YouTube channel where I make a whole bunch of RPG related content, predominantly focused on Dungeon Masters. I've got a massive playlist of making a homebrew campaign where I essentially did what we do in these streams for my last campaign in video form. The map was made using Incarnate. I also have used Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft, and I have videos on them. I will be making an Incarnate video as soon as they release the update where they add the rune builder and the kind of black and white old school OSR theme. As soon as that comes out, I'll be making an Incarnate video. Whilst you're moving to Pathfinder 2nd Edition for your home games, will you be tempted to run something in 1D&D when it launches properly? Probably not, to be perfectly honest. Once I move fully to Pathfinder, it will be rare that I play like full-on D&D again. So I used to play Pathfinder 1st Edition, and kind of part of the driving force for switching to 5e for a home game was the fact that I was making content about it. And part of the reason that I was making content about it is because, for the most part, 5th edition is what sells. Now, touch wood, the Pathfinder videos have been doing incredibly well, and the reception to them has been really good, and all the numbers are going up. So hopefully that continues to happen, and I will continue making Pathfinder content, and I can play and talk about Pathfinder. I will still probably talk about 5th edition stuff, especially as 1D&D is kind of in development, because that is the process of game design, and that playtest period is going to be really interesting, and I'm sure that they will make choices that I will have a lot to say about. And I imagine we'll probably do streams looking at each of the 1D&D playtest packets. It's kind of ideal situation for a stream. In terms of things to stream, if you click on the old gold crowns channel points redeems, and you want to spend some of your channel points, there is a goal there for me to do a review of some old school adventures. So I'm thinking of picking up things like Against the Cult of the Reptile God, or why is that the only one that's coming to mind? Some of the old school adventures, and doing a review of them on stream and looking at how they compare to kind of modern adventures, and whether or not I think that you could take them and run them as is in kind of a modern D&D climate, and whether I would run them and what I would change about them. That could be kind of fun. So if you want to see that, we're like 35% of the way there. Whoa. 75% of the way there. I clicked it to see how much, and I just saw it go. Yeah, we're like 80% of the way there. We're pretty much there. Thank you, Bob and Flea, for like absolutely smashing that bar right before my eyes. That was amazing. So yeah, we're pretty much there. When we hit that, I will download a couple of them, and we are like 100. We're 100% of the way. Well, there we are then. Era's just like, no, we're just gonna do it. Amazing. So yeah, we are gonna do that possibly next week, if I can pick it up, and if I can pick up a couple of them in between now and next week, we'll maybe do it next week. The big thing in this upcoming week, that before starting the stream I was like, need to mention this like every 20 minutes because it's really important. I'm launching a Kickstarter in like 2 days, y'all. And I've not mentioned it once. We've been doing this for like almost 2 hours, and this is the first time I mention it. Great job, me. SideQuest, my monthly magazine, is coming to Kickstarter in 2 days, on Tuesday. And the first 12 issues are being bundled into a hardback book, and it's going to be filled with stuff for players and GMs alike. The link to sign up to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live is in the chat. It's going to end up being sort of 180 pages worth of content. And it's, you know what, let's go ahead and let's get some sweet pictures, because everything is better with pictures. What pictures are we going to go with? Let's go with this one. Is this going to load in my browser? It is going to load in my browser. Cool. So here we've got one of the promo pictures for the Kickstarter. So we are doing a big hardback book with a fancy new cover by Jarek Madia. I've never actually pronounced their surname. Who's an artist that's done a bunch of work with us in the past. It's going to take all 12 of the first 12 issues, bundle them, present them issue by issue. So if you have been reading them in the digital format and you want that progression of I want to read from issue 1 and go chronologically, you're going to be able to do that because it will be presented issue by issue, and then there'll be a bunch of contents pages and indices to help you get around inside and find what you're looking for if you're looking for a specific thing. There will be a PDF version. The PDF version is not going to be Kickstarter exclusive, but it's kind of accompanying. You're only going to be able to get kind of the bundled version of the PDF with the book, I think. Not 100% on that yet. And then, seeing as though we're like 2 days out, I want to show you the exploration for the special edition cover. So one of the things that I really wanted to do for this is tap into that kind of D&D limited edition style cover, the Hydro 74 style that's all kind of monochrome and look really cool. So Alda Doodles, Ramona, who does all of the trade dress for SideQuest, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I really want to do an amazing cover. That's not the one. That's my amateurish attempt. Let me find Mona's one. Where have I put it? There it is. So I reached out to Ramona and I was like, you do all the trade dress for SideQuest and it looks amazing and I really want to do this. And this is the work in progress for this alternate cover. So the alternate cover is going to be a stretch goal that we unlock because it is producing a whole other book, and it will be exclusive to the Kickstarter, so you'll only be able to get the alternate cover on this Kickstarter. I'll order some extras to make sure, in case there's any issues, but only available on the Kickstarter, and this is our current work in progress. So I was like, I want this to be, the end product will be matte black with gold and red, and this is the current state of our work in progress. It's not close to finished. There's still a bunch more work to be done for it. Let me go ahead and find the black and white version, because the black and white version has got a little more detail, and you should be able to see some of the details on the black and white version. So here's the black and white version that shows off kind of the spine detailing and shows you kind of some of the details out of the color context. Will the back color have a full render of your face? Yeah, just not even a full render. It's just going to be a really badly Photoshop crop of my head that still has like the boxy white outline just right in the middle of it. Or take one of the emojis from the Discord, like the shocked face, just slap it on the back cover. But yeah, I'm super excited for the special edition cover. I love the special edition covers. It's one of the only reasons that I have so many 5th edition books, is because they have absolutely gorgeous special edition covers. So I'm super excited for us to have a version of that. So that's going to be one of the stretch goals. In terms of other stretch goals that we're going to have, I think we're going to keep it super simple, because the big thing about this is it's a print product, and especially in the last couple of years, printing stuff has gotten much more expensive and much more complicated, and I don't want people to have to wait a year for this book. Like 99% of the content is already good to go, just needs to be reformatted into a fully hardback book. But there are some art elements that I would like to upgrade. So throughout certainly the first 12 issues, there's a lot of stock art and a lot of elements that maybe didn't get art that I would like to have art. So some of the stretch goals will probably be like an art upgrade, like an art pack, to get us a couple of new monster artworks, because I think there's a couple monsters in there that don't have dedicated artwork, and maybe there's some subclasses that I would like to get some artwork done for as well. But in terms of like the logistics side of the Kickstarter, it's going to be super simple. Only a couple of different pledge options, a bunch of digital add-ons that already exist, so you'll be able to pick up like the cheat sheets and my adventure pack for a little bit of a discount. And I really want to focus on getting a delivered product. Like the main goal is to get the book in hand as quickly as possible, because I really don't want to have to wait a year for this. If I can manage it, I really want to get the special edition one. Yeah, like even if no one else gets a special edition one, I'm putting a special edition one on my shelf. Potentially, unpopular opinion, I prefer the larger artworks of the regular cover than the mugshot of a monster style on the D&D special edition books. I mean, like there are some of them that I prefer the regular covers for. I don't always prefer the special edition covers. I'm trying to think of which ones. I think Icewind Dale, I prefer the normal edition cover. Which ones have I got? I've got Descent into Avernus, Candlekeep, Fizzbands, Mythic Odysseys, Strixhaven, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, Van Richter's Guide, and Modern Canaans, and the 3 Xanathar's Tashas and Monsters of the Multiverse, the pack that was released at the start of this year. I have a lot more of the special edition covers than I actually thought. But that's the main reason I've got so many 5e books, is for the special edition covers. But some of them, some of the regular ones are nicer. But yeah, I can't believe that I went almost the entire stream without mentioning the fact that we're going on Kickstarter in 2 days. So yeah, like, click the link, sign up to get notified, help us fund it, because clearly I'm not going to do the job of telling you otherwise. It's completely disrupted my flow of links. I'm pretty sure I've linked everything else. There's the Discord. Come and join the Discord and get involved in the chat with everyone that you've been chatting with here this evening in Discord as well. We've got a whole bunch of really cool people that talk about RPGs all day. I like the simplistic edition styles from Pathfinder 2nd Edition that make it look like a classic leather-bound book. Just not a big fan of the mugshots. Yeah, I like the Pathfinder version. I like that they're all kind of the same. So the Pathfinder books in general have got really nice kind of mass shelf appeal because they're really uniform. This business of the red bits at the top, none of them being the same length, drives me to no end. Like, I hate it. I look at it on my shelf and I'm like, you're not even, you're not uniform, and I hate it. But what you can do, you know? It's not like they've been publishing material for decades. It's not like you think they'd figure out how to get it uniform by now. It's not like they did it with the last edition. It's one of my weird pet peeves is the red ribbon bands on the top of 5e books not being uniform. Drives me mad. Like, given that as someone that makes content online, obviously a good shelfie is really important. You know, we're here for the aesthetic, and it just ruins the aesthetic. But soon enough, you know, the Pathfinder shelf, will be as thick, double C thick, as our 5e shelf. On that bombshell, anyone else got anything else they want to throw in the comments real quick, and we're gonna wind down and call it an evening because we have just passed midnight here. And my brain is turned into mush, so it's time. It's bedtime. So go ahead and throw any last minute questions down in the chat. Thank you very much for hanging out and for getting involved, getting us over that 400 pins. The reminder to save an exploit. Yeah, I'll do it. I do it when OBS isn't running because I don't want it to freeze up my whole PC. But thank you very much to everyone for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to follow and go and click the link for Kickstarter. I've got to say it like 8 times because I forgot to say it so long into the stream. So I'm going to say it like 3 more times. So go and sign up to get notified when the Kickstarter goes live. We do this every evening, every Sunday evening. We start at 10 p.m. UK time. It usually run about 2 hours, or until my brain has become such mush that I can no longer form coherent sentences and I pass out on stream. It's never happened yet, but there's always next week. And next week we'll potentially look at the adventures if I can get hold of them and get a chance to read them, because I've got Kickstarter starting on Tuesday. Did I mention? If I have the time to look at those in the next week, we'll do that in next week's stream. Otherwise, it will be the week after. But thank you all very much for hanging out. My name has been Anto. This is Icarus Games. We do this every week, and I shall see you in the next one. But until next time, happy gaming.